Hey guys, John Lemme here, the founder of Conservative Business Journal and the host of the CBJ Real News Podcast Show. And I'm excited tonight to bring to you, I believe is going to be a world-changing, country-changing, children's-changing, generation-changing show. Because I'm bringing to you two ladies. I'm so proud of them, of what they're doing. And I'm going to give them an introduction. And then we're going to discuss school board. We're going to discuss children. We're going to discuss responsibilities. So we have world famous Christy DeVigili. Many of you may know Christy. She was part of our team at the We the People Fight Back event. She's awesome. And she's running for Lee County School District Board, Lee County School Board, District 1, Cape Coral, Pine Island, Sanibel, and Captiva. Then we got the boss, Denise Nystrom, running for District 6. Everyone in Lee County votes for her. Lee County School Board, Denise and Christy, welcome to the CBJ Wellness Podcast Show. And all of you listening live or on the recording, share this everywhere. Take all the nonsense, everything going on. This is what the country is about. What you're going to listen to is how we change America is through Denise and Christy. So welcome, ladies. And let's see. Let's start off with who wants to go first? You ladies are.
It's up to you, John. How are you tonight? It's good to be here.
Awesome. And you guys may notice Denise has a Long Island accent. She's from Long Island. She's awesome. Denise Nystrom for Lee County School Board. Show the shirt. The shirt's there. Looking awesome.
Nice.
And then we got Christy DeVigili. Nice last name, Christy. I love the last name.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here.
So, Denise, tell everyone, because you were thinking about running for school board, and then you have a very long background, years in background in children and school boards. Just kind of lay out your background with that, and then we'll go back to Christy, and then we'll really unpack what a school board position is.
Okay, that sounds great, John. So my background is I was a special education teacher, and then I became a special education administrator, and I ran a special education department. And then I became an assistant superintendent of schools, which means I ran school districts with the superintendent. And I did that for 8 years. So I was a teacher for 12 years. I was an administrator for 13 years. I've always been politically engaged. I've always known what's gone on. I've always prided myself in the fact that I've researched everything so that nothing was clickbait. But, I really never thought about running for political office. And then last January 6th, when we all know that the election got stolen, I said that I've got to do something more. So I created a website, Take Action Patriots. I created a newsletter. I started showing up at school board meetings. That's where I actually met my teammate there, Christy DeVigili. And we've been just going to every school board meeting now for the better part of a year. It can mean we're there for 9 to 12 hours a day. And we have already taken on so much, I guess, of the, how do I want to say it, Christy? We have already
the corruption.
Done so much to fight the corruption. But what we realized was that we could only just go so far being on the parent side of things, on the public side of things, that if we really wanted to change things, we were going to need to be on the board. And that was really the deciding factor for me, is that I wanted to make sure that I could really affect systemic change, and I couldn't go any further from what I was doing now.
And what's good when you guys hear Denise's story, I remember when you rolled out Take Action Patriots, it was back when we just did our first We the People Fight Back event in Naples in April, and you started to promote it and share it, and then we challenged you to publish some articles. You've now written two articles for the Conservative Business Journal that's gone nationwide and worldwide. We're proud of you on that. And then your champion in partner there, Christy, who's outstanding. And Christy, you actually made the announcement. It was actually at our event last week, just 9 days ago. You tell everyone the decision you made, like why it sat on you to actually, go from doing your ministry, because you were very involved in ministry, to now really get actively involved in a school board. And then we're going to unpack more about the actual position of what someone does on a school board.
Great. Thank you so much, John. Well, like you said, I spent, the better part of the last decade in children's ministry. I was the elementary children's director for one of the larger churches in our area. And I loved it. I mean, I was very good at my job, and I thought I was going to do it forever. That was until this pandemic or whatever, this pandemic hit, and I was at home with my kids, and I was pretty much just facilitating the virtual learning environment for them. And as I was doing this, I'm sitting in the same room with them, and I'm literally listening to and pretty much attending all of their classes with them. And I have 3 girls. They were 10 at the time, 10, 14, and 16. And I mean, you're talking 8th grade. I had one that was in 8th grade, one that was in 9th grade, and then one that was in 3rd. So an 8th grade civics class is what did it for me. I made it about a semester, and then I pulled my 8th grader out, and I started homeschooling her. We pulled my 10-year-old out as well, and we were homeschooling her as well. And my oldest was still in high school, because there's not a lot of options for homeschool parents, especially if they have kids that are in gifted programs. So we're making accommodations there. And as we're continuing through this school year, this wild virtual school year, I'm learning more and more and more about what's going on in our classrooms. And now these are classrooms that I attended when I was a kid. I grew up here. So sure. I don't remember ever knowing the political affiliation of any of my teachers, but let me tell you, I know many of my children's. I shouldn't.
That's a key point. I just want to interject there. This is very important. Everyone listening, remember, Denise and Christy are actively involved. They have children. You have grandchildren, correct, Denise?
Well, I'm a mom of 3 and a grandmother of 8. So
guys, let that sink in. They're walking the walk. And I could say it with Denise, they're talking the talk, Denise. That's how you say talk, right? These people say it wrong the other way, right? It's very important, because this is the future of America. And Christy, you said something where you identified that for the first time ever, your children were being infiltrated. They were getting in your minds of the political affiliation of the school teachers. Just bring us back to that point when you realize, you know what? Wait a minute, my kids are learning about a democratic, radical, critical race theory, communist left position, basically.
Okay, so it was during the 2020 elections, and it was in my daughter's 8th grade civics class, and the teacher wanted them to vote. So he wanted them to have, an election in the class. And my daughter, she's sitting right across from me, so she turns over to me and she says, "Mom," she said, "I don't want to do this." And I said, "Well, okay, then just tell the teacher you don't feel like you have enough information to make an educated decision, and you don't feel comfortable voting, so you are opting out." And so she tells him this, and his response is that if she doesn't want to do the assignment, then she can take a 0 for it.
Wow.
So he pretty much corners her and forces her to do the assignment. And I was like, well, just whatever. I said, just vote and it's fine. So, because I'm sitting there with her at this point. So she votes, and she votes for Trump. And after the class,
like everybody did in the country.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
But just like in the country, the teacher gave them the results, and of course, Biden won. So
wait a minute. So Biden won in that what class was that? 8th grade.
This was 8th grade civics. Now it gets better. It gets better because one of the other boys in the class that also did not want to participate, he rose his hand, and the teacher called on him, and he said, "So, sir, Mister, who did you vote for? In the election?" And the teacher's response was, "Oh, well, I don't have to tell you that. That's private. I have my right to privacy." After just making the entire classroom vote and forcing them to, he's entitled to his privacy. So no, I knew very early on where his teacher, where her teachers were at.
And what's amazing, Christy, and Denise, I'll throw it back to you now. Everyone pay attention. They're running in Lee County in Florida, which many of you have been to our events in Naples, Florida. I see Lorene is on live. Lorene, thank you for sharing with 8 groups. As you guys know, we're massively censored on Facebook. We're rocking right now on Cloud Hub. It's going everywhere. But we appreciate you guys sharing live, and obviously during a replay, share it everywhere. But this is Lee County in Florida, a state governed by DeSantis, right outside Naples. Many of you have met Denise and Christy. I was calling Christine at our event that day because we were getting all confused with all the Christies. So Christy at our event was part of our team, and she's awesome. And so Denise, tell everyone, we were having a conversation before we went live about how you identified that it should be Republican ran, but most school boards are Democratic ran. I mean, and right now there's no Democratic Party left. They're communist. So kind of unpack that a little bit. Guys, this is Florida. If you're not doing this in your school boards, in your city, in your state, you're out of your mind. So
Right.
good, Denise.
Well, what's interesting is we are seeing the same thing here in Southwest Florida that everybody is seeing all over the country. And one would not really expect that. So, for example, we are facing things like boys using girls' bathrooms, boys playing on girls' sports teams, eliminating the pronouns he and she from vocabulary.
That makes sense.
The teaching of critical race theory in the classroom. Everything that is happening everywhere else throughout the United States is happening here also. So
In Florida,
in Florida. So if people don't think, right. So if people don't think in Southwest Florida that they need to pay attention, they do need to pay attention,
right,
because it is happening here just like it is happening everywhere else. And really, John, if I can add something,
sure.
Yes, I mean, I'm a Republican, I'm conservative, but really, when I was a teacher, our politics were not in the classroom at all, and none of these things that I'm talking about were even going on. It just wasn't even happening. So fast forward, hasn't been that long, but fast forward, it's happening. All of these things are happening everywhere now. And really, teachers just need to educators in general need to get back to just teaching the children critical thinking skills and preparing them for being successful adults when they graduate.
And I know, Christy, that's why when you first met us at our August We the People Fight Back event, you almost fell off your chair with Rebecca Friedrichs when Rebecca unleashed about the school union. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, like, you're running for school board now. So Denise, you're like, I'm going to say boss man. You're not a man. He, she. You're a woman. You're the big boss. You're running for so let's talk about the districts. You're running in District 6. Everyone in Lee County votes. And so Lee County School Board, what are the position you're running for? What are your responsibilities? Who are you running against? And what do you do when you get on a seat on the school board?
Okay, well, first of all, I just want to say, even though it's what they call an at-large, there are 7 school board members in Lee County, but the county is divided into 5 districts. So Christy is running in District 1, which is Cape Coral and other areas. And then there are 2 at-large positions, which just means the whole county votes. But once you get on the school board, nobody has any more power than anybody else. It's 7 people and 7 votes. So I just want to explain that, even though it's what everybody in Lee County votes for my position. I worked for the school board for a very long time, and I watched school board members in action. And fortunately, I have a really good paradigm of people that were on the school board for the right reasons, and they were not bringing their agendas with them. And what I'm seeing here is that some of the people, it's about control or it's about pushing an agenda. That is not what the role of a school board is. The school board, if you will, is like the first step of being an auditor. These are the people that are supposed to understand board policy. Board policy is supposed to adhere to state statutes. It's supposed to drive instruction. It's supposed to drive everything that it is that happens within a school district is in board policy. So if your board policies are correct and you're following board policies correctly, you're the first step of being an auditor, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. It's very important. And I know, Christy, you guys were very involved. Alfie Oakes endorses both of you for the position. I know you were very involved with Alfie with the masks and now all the mandates and the kids. So Christy, talk about, and you're running for Lee County School Board District 1, Cape Coral, Pine Island, Sanibel, and Captiva. And I want to give out the websites too. I'll give out Christy's. Christy's is CHRISTY 4 Lee, LEE schools.com. Christy 4 Lee schools.com. And Denise is elect, ELECT. Denise, DENISE. Nystrom, NYSTROM.com. Elect Denise Nystrom.com. And as you guys see, our post-production, both of those websites are on the Conservative Business Journal, on our podcast show, and my wife Christy's sending it out now in the comments too. But Christy, so when you made that decision and it was in your stomach, you said, you know what, I have to get more involved in the policies. What's the number one policy you're going to really, as one of the 7 voters there in Lee County, what's something that really lays on your heart to take action on right away?
Right away would be policy 1.111 or policy 1.11. I mean, whatever variation of that they feel like, discussing. But it's the policy that infringes on the rights of the people, especially in regards to public comment. I see no reason why the totalitarian approach that is taken with moms and dads and community members of Lee County, like our average population, especially the people that attend our school board meetings, is not like, it's an older crowd. So there's not a threat. And the level of security and measures that are taken to purposefully make us feel uncomfortable, whether it's hiking up the air conditioning in the room, or stanchioning off sections of it so that we have limited seating, or I mean, just all kinds of things, or cutting us off right in the middle of public comments. I mean, these are bullying approaches that should never be taken on parents. Like, we are not the enemy here. We are supposed to be a part of, and that's why I'm so glad you brought up Rebecca Friedrichs, because I'll tell you right now, that book changed my life. I've read it multiple times now, and I'll tell you, the union, they know that I'm coming for them. And when we're done, it's not going to be just Lee County. It's going to be the entire state of Florida. We're going to de-unionize and localize our unions if there's a need for them, because the control that they have over our schools is ridiculous. And that's where policies like 1.111 are all stemmed from. It's a big bullying policy, and that would be the very first one. And then I'm not going to go into it, but right after that would be policy 1.181, which is the personal protective equipment policy, which gives the superintendent in times of emergency the authority to unilaterally make a decision to mandate personal protective equipment on our kids, up to like hazmat suits. And that's not even an exaggeration.
Good, Denise.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in there for a second. Once again, I have the good fortune of having a good, healthy paradigm in terms of where I worked and running school districts.
And that was in Long Island? That was in New York, right?
On Long Island. And I dealt with 12 powerful unions. And it wasn't the National Educators Association. I can't say that my relationship with the union was an unhealthy one, because honestly, it was built on mutual respect, and it was built on conflict resolution. I think that listen, I'm a teacher. I'm an advocate for administrators, for teachers, for counselors, for support staff. I think here in Long Island, they are here in Southwest Florida, they are grossly underpaid.
Absolutely.
They start at $47,000 a year, and then they only receive $500 a year for the next 20 years. That's about $2.50 a day. So, but what I can say about unions is, or what has happened is that the unions are pushing a political agenda that does not belong in the schools. That's the problem. So in terms of negotiating with teachers and understanding what they do, or other educators, absolutely, hands down, we would be there for them. What we are against is the pushing of a political agenda that does not belong in schools, that is in fact indoctrinating our children.
Absolutely.
Which has now evolved into the whole atmosphere. That's why the fake administration has now, quote unquote, labeled you two ladies insurrectionists, like terrorists, because your mom is protecting your children and the children. And Christy, I want to go back to something you said. You said they turned the AC up on you, and they kind of Carol sold you off. They kind of shoved you in a corner. I want you to unpack that. I want to make sure everyone hears what she's saying. This is in Lee County, in the red state of Florida, under the greatest governor America's ever had, Governor Ron DeSantis. So I want everyone to hear this. That's why wherever you are in this country right now, these are the two most important. This is the most important role in politics is school board, because it's kids. So tell everyone, they turned the AC up to do what? Burn you out?
So it's funny that we're even talking about this, because it sounds like something that happened sometime last year when everything was really crazy, but this was just last week. This was just last week that they tried to, I guess they tried to.
So who's they? Like when you say they, Christy, who's they?
And I mean, like, there's actually someone in the district building. So it's somebody in the district building. I mean, they're all going to say that it's nobody and that it was just some mistake and it's whatever, but it happens all the time. And there are just we still get wanded when we come in. We get wanded like we're criminals. We're allowed to sit in the lobby now. That was our present that we got back after Christmas break, because we weren't even allowed to come into the lobby before. We had to sit outside if we want, or stand outside until they were ready to let us in. So they've given us back some of our rights.
Who is inside though? And I'm going to keep interjecting just to unpack the seriousness of this. I mean, and by the way, I always say this, that somebody said that there's a whole orchestrated effort. It's just a shakedown. It's mafia tactics. They're all together saying, hey, turn the AC up, sweat the ladies out. It's not a mistake. There's people conversing, and all that's going to be exposed. Every lie will be revealed, bar none. So John, somebody said, hey, turn the heat up, because we know in Southwest Florida, even Florida gets really hot quickly in places.
And so here's the thing. Every school board meeting that they have, and they have workshops, briefings, and action meetings, can last 3 or 4 hours. And they would not let us bring a bottle of water inside. Not a bottle of water, to have water while we were drinking there. I mean, while we were thirsty, we're there, and we weren't allowed
and it turned the heat up.
But silver lining though, they put a water fountain in the back, and it has hot and cold water. So I just started bringing tea bags, and we make tea now, since they're going to provide it for us.
Christy, tell him what this is. What's this?
Okay, so in sign language, this right here is clapping. It's an actual language.
Because we can't make any noise.
We're not allowed. Yeah, so we're not allowed to clap unless we're acknowledging a district win. So if the district is acknowledging someone and they're clapping, then we can clap. But if it's a someone public speaking, if it's something another board member said, like if it's anything like that, we are not allowed to enter.
So, but who makes those rules? Those are 7 people now on the board?
Yes. No. They're made by board policy. They're made by board policy.
Did the board really make them, or did the board attorney make them?
Oh yeah.
Well, but if they're voting on them, then no matter who wrote them, it's the 7 people that have to vote on them. I think that they know that they have violated our First Amendment rights.
Yeah.
Because they were going to make more strict the public comments, and they've kind of backed off of that at this particular moment in time. And I think that they know that they have a First Amendment issue on their hands. They actually wanted to have a meeting with Christy and me. And we were like, we're not meeting with you, because we are not giving away our First Amendment rights. This is not a negotiation.
There's nothing to meet about. My rights are not up for negotiation. Right. We're not going to talk about whether or not you can shut me up or shut me out. I am a parent of students. And even if I wasn't, I'm a taxpayer, and I have every right to voice my opinion, especially when I think that they're not doing a good job, and I don't.
I mean, it's amazing too. Those are the 7 positions now. The people behind them is the school unions, because they're just the front man and front ladies for guys. We're going to, my show, the Conservative Business Journal, as our media company, and the podcast show, CBJ Real News, we just unpack the truth. The bottom line is they're the front people. They're the front runners for this big money school union. And they have to get the red counties and the red states, because they got the blue states. I mean, Chicago's done, New York's done. I mean, it's brutal. So it's amazing. 7 positions. They're not letting you drink water. They're turning the heat up, and you can only clap with the sign language. And then you're not allowed in for hours. And I know, Denise, you had a couple incidents there, and I know Alfie's been there many times. That's why I'm excited. Alfie endorses both of you. Alfie's awesome, obviously, great friend of mine, and one of the greatest entrepreneurs in America's history, and a great American, great patriot. And so, Denise, you were there, and your accent went wild that day. You were awesome. You went wild at the podium, and they were like trying to shut you down, like the way AOC went after Tom Homan. Shut up, die, blah, blah, blah. Tell them that story.
Let's see. That was the story. Okay. So I think that was when they were really closing everything down, and they wanted us to wear masks, but then they would have us go to the microphone, which is where everybody really breathes. So I took a Lysol wipe, and I was wiping down the microphone, and I was kind of making a scene out of it, because in the end, it's just so ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
I can't remember specifically what I was talking about that day, Christy, but It was just, I guess it had to do with the medical freedom, with
I
medical freedom.
mean, no, the day is this the day that you were asked to leave?
Yes, I believe it was.
Because no, what you got asked to leave about was because you kept using a board member's name, and you were
Oh, that's right.
we
That's
were
right.
told that we could not use board members' names, and that we had to like give our name and what part of what school our kids or something like that went. And I walked up, or where our address was, and I'm like, how invasive. Like, when a few parents did, they got up there, and how are you going to know? Like, if you're going there for the first time and somebody says, okay, well, you have to say your name and where you live. I mean, okay, you have to say your name and where you live. Like, most people don't question, like, I don't have to do that. Why should I have to do that? Well, when you start questioning is when you start finding out that you don't have to do that. And they shouldn't be asking things like that.
And that's why, guys, even as you listen to the show tonight, we all know the election was stolen back in November 3rd, 2020. And because of that, and then the mail-in ballots, and then the quarantine and COVID, everything we went through, like as you heard me share at our event, I say it all the time, big problem, big opportunity. There's a big problem in America, but imagine if imagine if you didn't take your kids out of school, Christy. Imagine if this didn't go down, you wouldn't know this is going on. This, guys, in hindsight, this had to happen in this country because people had to be exposed on the horrific demonic forces of the communist regime and critical race theory for our children. I mean, this is a very important part of the show. I know it's difficult sometimes to realize, like, if I wasn't canceled and shut down by YouTube, the conservative marketplace wouldn't have happened. As you know, our events are totally sold out, yet I'm censored. How does that happen? Because we're not really censored. They think we're censored, but we're not censored. So they think they got you, but now what this did with the school board is fired up Denise and fired up Christy.
Well, so I mean, this would be my message to everybody that's listening. We have done everything all peacefully to push back to the fullest extent possible. So they might tell us don't clap, but we'll clap, or they might tell us don't wear a mask, but we won't wear a mask, or I'm just trying to think. Or they'll say, don't call somebody by their first name, but we'll call them by their first name, or we'll make sure somehow or the other that they know that that's who it is that we're speaking about. We've done letter writing campaigns. We've taken DeSantis's laws. We've turned them into letters. We've given them out to parents.
The petition had, thousands of signatures on it.
So, the thing is, our message to everybody would be, you have to fight back. You have to push back. You have to take a stand. You have to call them out on the things that they're doing. We've done a critical race theory review in the district, and there's absolutely critical race theory in the English textbooks. I'm sure that they're in other books too. That just happened to be the textbooks that we were reviewing. We've written a report. We've submitted reports to them, to the board, to the superintendent. They haven't done anything. That's why we're actually running. We're running because we've pushed as hard as we can at this point, and now we're realizing that we need to be on the board in order to change policy and in order to make motions and have them carry and direct people to do certain things and to obey the laws that DeSantis has put into place.
It's so important.
Can I add a tiny bit, and it'll be really fast, but to add a little bit onto what Denise said there, there's a lot of people out there that are probably going to say, well, why couldn't you have just worked with them? And why couldn't you have just tried a little bit harder? And, why are you so mean when you get up there sometimes? And why are you, and I think what people don't understand, well, I mean, we really have, like, I had some woman come up to public comment the other day, a few speakers after me, and she was mocking me and talking all about unity. And you know what, though? We're like this because we spend 8 to 12 hours a day. Like, every day of our lives is spent fighting and against the corruption that's within this school district. And when we get up there and when we're a little bit passionate, it's because we have been spending, like, we've already emailed them. We have their personal phone numbers. We've called them. Like, we've already had dialogue, and it's gone nowhere. So
what does that mean? I just want to interject for a second and not interrupt. You say 8 to 12 hours a day you guys have been working. What does that mean? Because I want everyone to listen to this. You guys got to act. I mean, you have to make a decision to get involved locally. The school board, to me, is the most important position in American political system right now. In the conservative movement, school board positions, 7 positions in Lee County. You did a great explanation, Denise, of all the positions, the power of each position. It is so important. This is what it's about. You guys can talk a big game, go to all these, raise all this money for these candidates you know is not going to win in certain situations. Get involved with Denise's campaign, get involved with Chrissy's campaign, get involved in your local school board. So Chrissy, when you say 8 to 12 hours, like what are you doing?
So it really all depends. I mean, sometimes that 8 to 12 hours is spent writing FOIA requests. I know Denise has sent out ethics complaints. And those are extremely lengthy, and they have to be very precise. We worked on an OCR complaint, an Office of Civil Rights complaint, against a certain board member, against the building of a school in an area that it really shouldn't have been being built. To disparage some kids in an area that it should have been built.
And that was good. I heard about that at Adele's club tonight, the Christmas party. You guys got a lot of record. You guys achieved that by group effort.
Yeah.
And
we were so happy that we were able to halt the building in an area where it didn't need to be built while we have our most ethnic population still learning in portables, trailers for 30 years.
Unpack that story, please. This is a very important story. Unpack
Okay,
that. I love hearing that when we were at the Stereo Republic Club. Adele, right. I think the big boss is listening tonight here. The big boss is on.
She said she was going to.
Adele is on. I mean, that's the big boss. Adele's on. I love it. I love Adele's leather jacket at the event. I love Adele.
Oh, I know. She's just tough stuff.
A lot of our Naples family is watching, so thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
Facebook is blocking them from commenting.
Yeah, Facebook's blocking from commenting because I'm such a bad guy.
Yeah,
I mean, this is such a bad story, but too bad, guys, because tomorrow morning this goes out to 1.6 million podcast people on my podcast apps. I guarantee this will trend in iHeartRadio.
There is a misunderstanding that people that are conservative in nature. I mean, I hate to say it, but maybe racist, and nothing could really be further from the truth. So what happened was there was a building that was scheduled to be built in a predominantly white area of Lee County, and on the board there's a board member, Gwen Gittens, who kept asking for information to prove that the building capacity of the 3 buildings that were in that area warranted the building of this brand new K-8, which was going to cost $100 million. And for months, we're listening to her almost at every single board meeting. Now, think about this. There's a board member on the board who is basically saying, I want this information, this student information, and they won't even give it to her. Yep. And none of the other board members are speaking up and saying, you know what, we need to audit this. We need to understand what's going on. So that caused us to realize that something wasn't right. And we started to drill down and take a look at the ethnicities of the people in the Lehigh area versus the Estero area. And we started to look at their achievement test scores. And we also looked at their incident rates. And an incident rate is anything from I call you a name to I murder you. And by law, you have to report that information to the state and federal government. So we did these comparative analysis of what was going on in East Lee versus what was going on in Estero. And we hypothesized that the way that they were getting this building approved is that they have school choice, and that they were prospectively busing kids from different areas to the Estero area to make it look like their numbers were much higher.
All the way across county in some situations.
And so we tried to fight it at the microphone. That's what Christy was kind of explaining before, is we did it by letter writing. We did it during public comments. But when all else failed, it was just plain wrong. And so then we realized that this was an Office of Civil Rights complaint. And so we authored a letter to the Office of Civil Rights. We sent them all of this backup data. Look, this is work. Yeah. Let me just say this. Right. This is work. I mean, when you're doing these things and you're drilling down and you're making charts and you're reading and you're doing all of this, this is work above and beyond the time that we're spending at the school board meetings. But this is what it takes. This is what it's going to take to get our country back. And this is what it's really going to take to equal the playing field the way that it should be equaled. But in any case, 2 weeks after that letter was sent out, the board made a motion to halt the $100 million building.
I mean, guys,
I know it's amazing. Now the next fight is going to be, so what are they going to do with the money?
Yeah.
Now,
amazing.
what are they going to do? How are they going to get these kids that have been learning in portables for 30 years? We have parents that come to the board meeting. They graduated having gone to school in those portables. And now their kids are in those portables. So the next step is going to be, okay, so what is going to happen with this money?
Yep.
There's a lot of work to be done.
And that's why you ladies, I just want to do a quick states identification. And I want to give a shout out to you. Right Winged on Rumble said, these are two strong and very courageous women. They are. And I agree with you on that. So real quick, guys, for those of you listening, either live or on a replay, make sure you guys do follow us on Clout Hub. See, Facebook, as you can see, you can't even, they're so afraid of two focused young ladies that want to take back our children and take back the country that they won't even let us comment. I mean, if you don't think shadow ban and censorship is real, it's real. So Clout Hub is rocking. You guys can follow me in Clout Hub, CLOUTHUB, clouthub.com. I know it's difficult. Start to move over there and you search out CBJ Real News. You follow us on there and then you subscribe to the channel. It's just like the old good old YouTube days when I was on YouTube. When we go live, you get notified. That's why we have more people on Clout Hub right now than Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble put together on Clout Hub. So clouthub.com and Rumble, our channel is CBJ Real News, and Telegram, our channel is CBJ Real News. And also make sure all of you download the app on your smartphone, Google Play Store, Apple Store, search out Conservative Business Journal and subscribe. It's free. And all the episodes are in live. They're in alphabetical order. So you search them and share them. All the speakers from the We the People Fight Back event. You can put Homan in for Tom Homan. Take his presentation, share it. Rebecca Friedrichs is on our library of episodes. You can find that on the app or on our website, conservativebusinessjournal.com, and hit the tab podcast, library of episodes, and you will see them there. And then you will see this episode is going to be under Nystrom for Denise's last name and also DeVigili for Chrissy's last name. So they'll be in two places. And you guys can share this and get the real news out. Make sure you are subscribed to our email list. You can do that by going to conservativebusinessjournal.com and submit your best email and share all the writings, what we have. Share this episode. We are the real news. That's why they fear us. If what we were saying wasn't the truth, I mean, people can't comment. If Facebook is, I got to behave myself or I'll get shut down on Facebook Live. So, Christy, back to you now. You ladies are, how awesome is the show, right? Christy, my wife, Christy. This is what it's about. I mean, look, let's be realistic. Look at all the work you're doing, ladies. I mean, guys, pay attention. This isn't, you can't sit on your bottom here, not do anything, because they're going to go after the kids. And once again, everything went on with COVID and the scandemic and the mask and all the stuff going on and the stolen election. It exposed all this.
Yes.
So, Christy, as Denise was talking about all that, share, what's on your heart about that, even more about the fight.
Well, I mean, exactly what you said. They're coming for our children. And when I say they, it doesn't matter who that they is. They is the government. They is, are the powers that be, and they want our children. They want to indoctrinate them. They want to change. They want to confuse them, and they want to teach them how to be subservient and to lack any form of creativity or entrepreneurship, and they just have removed all traditionalism and Americanism and patriotism. I mean, all of the things that we Americans hold so dear, it is literally hanging by a thread. And if we don't do something, and not just us here in Lee County, because like you've said numerous times now, John, this is a red county. This is
Florida. Everyone thinks Florida is like, that's why we had at our event, we had more people. We had 162 Patriots from out of state. Like Chris, you dealt with many of them at our table at the marketplace. I mean, people were so excited to be in Naples, Florida, like they were out of their minds. Yeah. They think like Alfie's like the 13th apostle, like from seat to table. Like everyone's like Alfie was. We had pictures coming in like crazy. I sent them all to seat to table there but the school board here, let this sink in. But the school board is democratically ran.
It is.
That's insane.
It is. And some of them, because it's a nonpartisan position, some of them up there, they went to all of the Republican club meetings and they garnered all of the support that they needed, claiming to be something that they weren't. But as soon as they got onto the board, your money is put where your mouth is really quick. When you start approving policies and allowing certain vendors in and allowing certain contracts to be entered into, that the money trail really speaks volumes on who you really are. And our board, they are very liberal.
But
and
John,
guys, if she said something real quick, then you're gonna throw it right back to you. Everyone. Write down what Chrissy just said. As you know, my events, take notes. Our board. You have to say, do you know your school board? I want everyone from this show tonight and going forward, find out who's on your board. Go out to a school board, and it's brutal. And I see Greg on. Greg Ellie was one of our supporters from South Carolina. He sponsored a VIP dinner table at our We the People Fight Back event. He says, God bless you, John. God bless you, Greg, for being involved in the Conservative Business Journal and sponsoring us and supporting us. He's awesome, Greg, on from South Carolina. Over to you, Denise. So you were getting all fired up. Chrissy was going.
So I wanted to unpack something else too. And I think that, and this is very important. And this is something that I think the majority of people in America are very upset about. So Christy and I are not just fighting. We're not just fighting the Democrats, and I guess I don't really want to say it exactly that way, but we're also fighting our own Republicans. So Christy and I have been walking the walk, and we've been attending every single school board meeting, and our local Republican executive committee has put up 4 candidates that, quite frankly, I'm not going to say anything bad about them, but they have not really been in the fight the way that Christy and I have been in the fight. And they don't have the credentials and the experience that Christy and I do. And yet they want to make a motion at a Republican executive committee meeting to endorse those 4 candidates. And I ask myself, if you understand that this country is in a crisis, and it is in a crisis, do we have years to wait, or do we need to get people on the school board that can hit the ground running? And it's our backgrounds that give us the credentials. It's the time that we've spent now walking the walk that give us the credentials. We really are the school board warriors and the school board candidates and the people that are not only willing to go in there and make the change, but are able to go in there and make the change.
But Denise, that's because you're a threat. I want to interject here. You and Chrissy are a threat. For the first time ever, the Republican Executive Committee, REC, correct?
Right.
They are endorsing 4 school board candidates. Is that the first time in history ever?
Oh, this is unprecedented.
Now, look, I want to tell everybody, as someone who's one of the most band-sensitive voices out there from, the Republican, like Pastor Greg Locke says, the Republican and Democratic Party is the head of the same snake. They're both of the same party, most of them. And the reason why Christy and Denise, they look at you as a threat. They want to do some fake endorsements to just divert the attention, but everyone pay attention. If they're doing it for the first time in history, it's because you guys are the real deal. You ladies are the real deal. Okay, I use a pronoun: you, she, he, her. How stupid is that? How stupid is that, teaching kids pronouns? Are you just a complete friggin' idiot? Like if you watch Pastor Greg Locke's service from yesterday, he went off about that whole community stuff. It was great, but it's very important. And I congratulate you, Denise. I congratulate you, Chris, for being a threat, because for the first time ever, the establishment, which is the Republicans, is just the pure rhinos, is there. I mean, how now? Once again, they're all involved in that. The 4 candidates know it's never been done before. The people doing it's never been. So there's a whole party of people that are concerned about you two. I'm so proud of you.
And that's why we're talking to the people, the everyday people, because the everyday people need to understand what it is that is going on, and they're the ones that need to get out to the voting booths, and the Republicans need to let us have a fair election. If the people don't vote for us and the people want to vote for them, then that's fair. But at least put us all out there and let us, say what our platforms are and let the people decide.
And when is the elections once again, Christy, your election? And I want to give you a website again. Christy's website is CHRISTY, Christy 4, the number 4, Lee, LEE schools.com, Christy 4 Lee schools.com, Lee County School Board, District 1, Cape Coral, Pine Island, Sanibel, and Captiva. You got the floor.
Yes, sir. The primary election is actually the most important election. So here in Lee County, if whoever gets, so if whoever I'm running up against, if I get more than 50% of the vote in the primary election, there's a good chance that we may not even have to go on to the general election. So the primary election, it is August 23rd, and it is so, so important. There's about a week of early voting before that. I think it's the August the 13th to the 20th, I think. And you can early vote at any time throughout then. But that really is like, if I could ask parents to do anything, people to do anything, community members to do anything, it's to get up and to vote. You know, we need every single person to vote. And I want you to vote for, I want you to make an informed decision. You know, help your neighbor look up these candidates. And when I say that, like, you can find Denise and I both on YouTube. If you look up a Lee County School Board meeting, they're on YouTube. It's Lee Schools TV. If you look up any one of those meetings for the last close to probably almost a year now, you will find Denise and I there speaking during public comment. Watch the meetings. You know, get informed so that you can make a good decision, because we cannot afford another 4 years of the same thing.
So let me ask you. So Christy, how do they vote? Like when you say get up and vote, how do they vote? Where do they vote? How do we make sure the votes are secure? The votes are not rigged. The election is not stolen for you ladies. How do we create a presence? We have Adele, who runs the whole team there. How do we get people very, very, like I talked about? Obviously, all of you ladies had our Patriot shirt on. We gave out the American Patriot shirt. I got a great pic. I'm going to show the picture of us at the end of the show, because sometimes when I have 3 people in my show, if I show the picture, it kind of messes up the way we look on the show. I want to show it at the end, but we have you with the American Patriot show, the American Patriot shirt. And I did a whole show about the word patriot, and the letter O means obvious, easily seen. How do we make it easily seen that this is a fair election and the integrity of your votes is kept strong? How do we do that? Whoever wants to, Denise, you want to answer? Or?
You know, I mean, John, we need people like you that are honest, that have integrity. Christy and I are everywhere. We are absolutely everywhere. So anybody that wants to talk to us, get to know us, understand our platform, understand what we've done. I mean, we're definitely available. But we are going to have to pound the pavement, because a lot of times people understand who is running for Florida state legislator or who is running for Congress, but you don't get the media attention that they get when you're running for school board, and yet it's so important.
Yeah.
So people like you, I thank people like you and your wife Christy every single day of my life. Because you're out there, you're it's the real deal. You're telling people what's going on. You're giving us this opportunity. And then Christy and I are going to have to take it from there and just work our magic the way we.
And here's what Frank said too. I like this. What Frank said Frank said, we need candidates that are involved, not just popular names. These ladies are working hard prior to being elected. Just think what they'll do once they're elected.
Thank you,
reread that again.
Yeah,
that's great words from Frank.
What we'll do once we're elected. I mean, we can tell you, we'd be happy to tell you all about it.
Right. Our platform is a mile long. We just don't know what to begin with. There's so much that needs to be done.
But like what Frank is saying, Frank says, we need candidates that are involved, not just popular names. These ladies are working hard prior to being elected. Just think what they'll do once they're elected. So all of you in your local school boards, ask yourself, what are they doing? Are they just out there raising money at all these stupid parties? Or are they actually actively building and developing a platform and going out to we the people? The people is so important.
Denise and I probably are not as good as the rest of them at raising money, because we do spend so much time working to fix what's broken in our county. Just because we're in a campaign doesn't mean that the work stops. So we're really trying to find that happy balance. And if anybody out there is listening that has experience with political campaigns and wants to help us out, you just let John know to get in touch.
Wants to donate. And I just want to say, Christy and I did not do the work that we were doing because we were going to run for office. In fact, we did not have any intentions of running for office, and we were still doing the work. But what happened was we realized that with our knowledge, that things were not going to change unless we took our commitment another step further, because you need people that can hit the ground running, people that know the landscape. It's not easy.
Let's be real, Denise, like you and I were sitting in here, we're conservatives, but we've only seen the conservative votes come. I mean, the conservative candidates, rear their heads so far. The Democratic candidate in District 1 literally just filed. We don't know who's going to file yet in the other counties, or in the other parts of the county that will be that Democratic ticket. So, we really just have to be vigilant, and we have to remember that we cannot afford to sit this one out. So if you are thinking about getting involved in this election, let us know. Maybe you want a yard sign, you want to come knock doors, you want to make phone calls, have a meet and greet at your house. We would love to come over and talk talk about, well, I don't really love to talk about myself, but I'll talk about the district.
But I'm gonna tell you, this is what America's about. Everyone listening, this is what America's about. This will change America. Denise and Christy in a local Lee County school board is very powerful, right? Christy, any questions for the ladies? Are doing awesome. This is what America's about. And once again, this all had to expose the rhinos, all this stuff that's gone on the last year. It had to expose all the fake conservative voices. There were people that wouldn't say, let's go Brandon on air, to worry about being censored. Let's be realistic. How much of a conservative are they if they wouldn't say, let's go Brandon during a conservative show? This is why to me, it's so important. It's so important what Christy's doing, what Denise is doing. If all of you listening nationwide, let this inspire you to act. It's so important. And then let me show this picture. I want to show this picture. This is like an awesome. I could tell this is probably taken by Adele. Probably took this picture because it's got the Italian effect to it. let me put this picture.
We love
up
Adele.
Here. Oh, Adele's awesome. There it is. There, the two ladies leaning against each other. Who took that? And then that's a picture with Christy at the. And Denise at our event, it's only feels like a year ago, but it was 8 days ago at the We the People Fight Back event in Naples Hilton. Christy's looking awesome with the John Lemme's We the People Fight Back event shirt on, and Denise with her awesome Denise Nystrom for Lee County School Board. And then another picture, you ladies are forced to be. I love that picture. That's a power picture.
Yeah.
Who took that picture?
Oh, we have an amazing photographer.
Yeah.
Yes.
A friend who's an amazing photographer. So. Yeah,
that's great. That's
amazing.
I'll plug her if you want. Her name is Natasha Ramos, and she's amazing.
Yeah, promote it. Conservative, and guys, that's what it's all about. It's about the conservative movement and what these ladies are doing. This is the real news. And the corruption in Lee County. And once again, people think Florida's like heaven, like Florida's a whole another. Imagine the corruption in Chicago, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Detroit. Can you? imagine those school boards in San Francisco, San Diego. Can you imagine?
No. So John, we have a superintendent search that we're getting ready to go into tomorrow and the next day. The board, even though we're getting ready to potentially go into have an elected superintendent, even though we're in an election year and we're going to have a new board, our current board is gung ho on hiring a new superintendent. So they hired this firm and they have 5 finalists, right? 5 finalists. Only one of them is not a self-proclaimed Marxist. Self-proclaimed. The videos and the things that we've been sharing just in our group the last couple of days, in between their resumes and having to do Twitter searches on them and just really having to do some digging. One of these guys just is trying to run away from Clark County, Nevada right now. And we've got teachers here at our district now that ran away from Clark County and are working here now and that are just sounding the alarm, danger, and our board, the way that Lee County likes to do things is they like to put the person that they like the least at the very beginning and then the person that they like the most further towards the end. Well, the only decent one is the very first interview, the one right at the beginning. They get worse as the days go by. Awesome. We have to do something about this. We watched in Lee County, Greg Adkins in 12 months' time. In the year 2020, he passed over 100 new school board policies in a 12-month period. One superintendent can ruin everything. We cannot sit by and allow this board to do this. So I implore all of Southwest Florida and anyone that is listening right now to email our board members. Get involved in this. If you can make it out to one of our meetings over the next 2 days, please come out. because it's going to really change things.
And let me just say this. If I was one of those 5 people, I don't think I'd take the job, because in 2022, this board is going to be overturned.
Yep.
And the people that come, and the superintendent that is sitting there, they could find themselves jobless.
Amazing.
Because the board does make the decision about the superintendent.
And I
so
want
if
to
I was them and I'm listening, don't come, drop out, just wait for the election to come and go. You're probably not where you want to be.
I think it's so important. And I want to read something from a comment on Cloud Hub. And this comes from Bang It Out 007. I love that name. Bang It Out of the Park 007. Stay strong, ladies. The strong survive and the weak fall out. Today's new racism is when you question or challenge them and they don't like it. That is because you're making a huge difference. Happy to hear we have people like you out there to stand up and make a difference. Thank you all, and God bless. That's a Cloud Hub comment.
We appreciate you, John.
That's what it's about, guys. This, to me, this is the country. And like you said, what Greg asked right there. This is Greg from South Carolina. He's one of our sponsors. He was in the program, and he was one of the awesome tables you ran around with Christy at the event, the We Can Fight Back event. He's awesome, Greg. He supported us from South Carolina.
We are
right
definitely constitutionalists.
Yeah, you're constitutionalists.
Prosperity. He's from the Prosperity Group Advisors in South Carolina. Gregory Ellie. MyMoneyIsSafe.com. That's his website.
Yes.
So when I say this would be a great point to close out on. What does the constitutionalists mean to you, Denise first, and then Christy?
Oh my goodness. First of all, I can spot somebody that is not adhering to the Constitution a mile away, and that is not going to fly with me. That is not going to fly with Christy. We value our Constitution. It is not a fluid document, as was suggested by Barack Obama. Okay. We have to do everything we can to fight to keep our Constitution exactly the way it is. And when people are taking advantage and they are violating our constitutional rights, we need to push back, absolutely push back. You want 2 constitutionalists on school board, you're looking right at them.
Absolutely. Awesome. And I was just reaching for my pocket constitution because I make sure that I have one in every bag. And sure enough, I have one right here.
As you know, this is part of We the People. We give it out at every one of our events.
You have to. That is where we went wrong. That's where we went wrong, parents. Back in, we forgot. We forgot our history. We forgot what our founders fought for. We forgot what our own boys, our own soldiers, we forgot what they fought for. And we've forgotten what our men have fought for to keep this country free. And I cannot say it enough. If we don't do something, they are already infiltrated. They've already infiltrated and taken a generation of our children.
Yes.
We have socialists walking around right now. If we don't do something, we will lose another one.
That's right.
Potentially 3 more generations of children. We cannot afford that. Our country can afford that. I implore everyone that's listening to get involved in any way. Get involved.
Yes.
That's right. And that's why, Christy, too, we thank your husband for the service, and you come from a strong military family, correct, Christy?
We have military scattered throughout, but my husband served in OIF and OEF. He was a mortarman, and now he is a disabled veteran. And yeah, he's very much interested in the governor's militia. So he thinks that's a wonderful idea, and he would happily put on a uniform again for the governor.
Yeah. I come from a very, very strong military family, very strong for, oh my goodness, I think dating back to the Civil War. So fast forward, and we just can't thank our military enough, all of our service people, really. Yeah, they're an integral part of what we have here in the United States and keeping it.
Well, you ladies are a force to be reckoned with. I'm proud to know you. I'm proud to call you friends. I'm proud to call you winners shortly. And once again, I want to give out the websites for Denise. It's electDeniseNystrom.com. That's ElectDeniseNystrom. ElectDeniseNystrom.com. Running for Lee County School Board District 6. Everyone in Lee County votes. And then Christy is CHRISTY4, Christy 4LeeSchools.com. Lee County School Board District 1, Cape Coral, Pine Island, Sanibel, and Captiva. Guys, go out, vote. Go to the websites. Any questions, you guys can always call or text us at 561-847-3467, 561-847-3467. We'll connect you with Christy and Denise. Go to the sites, get involved. Those of you support them financially, support them by sharing this show and get active. I mean, this is what it's about. And people like, I know, and I'll be sending you ladies the reviews. I know people are going to be blown away going, oh my God. And that is in Florida.
Mhm.
Well, if you think that's crazy, we could tell you a lot of other stories too.
No, I can imagine. And I appreciate it. Christy, any final words for the awesome Denise? And
Great job, ladies.
the ladies are awesome. And then, guys, I just stay on afterwards. As soon as I end the broadcast, I want to chat with you too.
Okay.
Make sure you guys, once again, follow us on CloutHub, CLOUTHUB, clouthub.com. Search out channel CBJ Real News. So follow us on there and subscribe on the channel. Then you get notified when we go live on all our shows and we upload new videos. Follow us on Telegram at CBJ Real News and Rumble at CBJ Real News. And our main website, conservativebusinessjournal.com. Subscribe to get and put your email in there. We got some great writers. We send out emails throughout the whole day, every morning, 11 o'clock. We get some great writings out. We did one today in the 5G and the airlines, right, Christy?
Mm-hmm.
So we got some great writers. And then also make sure on your app, you guys download the app and you go to Google Play Store, Apple Store, search out Conservative Business Journal, subscribe. It's free. These ladies' episodes will be under the last name under Nystrom for Denise Nystrom. You can put Nystrom will come up. There's a search feature. Take it, share it to 5, 10, 15, 20 people. And then Christy DeVigili, a nice Italian name, right, Christy?
Right.
Nice name, right? And so it's under her last name, which is DEV, and it'll come right up. DEV, boom, search it, share it. That's the real news. CNN fake news, CBJ Real News,
Yeah.
communists, conservatives, the war is on. We win. God wins. The sword's out, ladies. You're going to win. It's on. Good night, guys. God bless you, everyone. Thank you guys.
God
for
bless
sharing,
you
liking,
too.
commenting.
Have a great
Thank
night.
you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.